question was, why do these students come to Hebrew High School? We gave them 10 options, which you can see listed here, and we asked them to choose their top 3. So we fully expected to hear that they wanted to be with their friends, which in fact was the number one answer, with 161 people, or 74% of respondents, choosing that. And we fully expected that they would say their parents wanted them to participate, which is right here. 38% of respondents chose that, or 83 people. But we were surprised that 161, tying, 74% tying for first place, indicated that they come to Hebrew High to continue their Jewish education. And you can read farther down some of the other answers that they chose. The other responses that were offered, 6 people said that they wanted to come and they wanted to learn. Gives us a window into who these teens are. The second question we asked was what the teens do outside of school. We gave them some choices, including an other button, and we asked them to choose all that applied. And we did this because we wanted to have a sense of what other activities were occupying their time. Only one of the 219 respondents didn't offer at least one response. And we learned that 133 of the teens, or 61%, indicated that they participate in some type of cultural arts extracurricular activity. This includes music, drama, fine arts. Coming in really closely with 127 respondents were sports, and then right behind at 125 were Jewish youth groups. And you can see also the other things that they're involved with. 25 teens said that they do other things. The majority, or 17 of them, indicated that they participate in other clubs at their schools or in helping to develop their school yearbook. The third question we asked was what the teens were worried about. We wanted to try and get a sense of what was on their mind. Here again we had an amazing response rate with only 3 participants not responding. And they told us what's really on their mind. So 137 of them, or 6% of respondents, said they're worried about developing a satisfying career. 111 of them, or 51%, worry about being physically and mentally healthy. 107 of them, or 50%, indicated that they worry about getting into college. And some of us expected that that number would be higher. You can read the rest of the responses and how the teams ranked each. There were 9 students who checked the other box. 2 of them offered that they worry about maintaining a strong Jewish identity. At the NACHES conference, one of the things that we talked about was how to use this information to influence the programming and the curricula that are developed so that students can actually find ways to express their concerns and address these issues with a Jewish lens in the comfort and safety of the school setting. So some of our NACHES colleagues on the webinar this afternoon, I'm sure would be willing to share a little bit about how they use this information at faculty meetings and also in planning their efforts for this year. And I hope that those of you who are not members of NACHES could anticipate how this might influence the choices that you make in your own programming. The last 2 questions, as I mentioned, were open-ended, and we tried to get a sense of how teens really see themselves. The first of these questions was responded to by all but 30 of the 219 respondents. And we asked them to choose 3 words that they would use to describe themselves. And the list that you see in front of you are the top 10 responses. We were really excited to see that all 10 of them were really positive responses: smart, funny, friendly, outgoing, fun, caring, creative, happy, Jewish, and hardworking. Again, in talking with faculty and in imagining dialogue with teens about some of this data, you might want to challenge yourself to think about whether this describes the teens with whom you interact and whether there are key descriptors or adjectives that you would have thought would make this list that aren't. There may be some that you would think would rank higher than others, and we talked about that also at the NACHS conference and are interested to hear feedback from more of you on the telephone and on the webinar this afternoon. And the last question we asked was where the Jewish part of teens' lives fits in with the rest of their lives. How, if at all, they integrate the Jewish stuff. And this was a very interesting question to which all but 34 people responded. And I'll explain a little bit about what the responses meant. The highest ranking, 53 people, said that they participate in Jewish events. Most often this included Hebrew High School. Again, these were questions asked of students in Hebrew High. Jewish youth groups, Israel Experience programs, and Maccabi games. Many respondents, 48, indicated that they used Jewish values to guide them. One of the examples that was most illustrative was given by a respondent who said that in appreciation of the Jewish value of Tikkun Olam, that this particular person had begun to participate in social action projects in their own time. That was a way of giving expression to the Jewish value in their life and using that value to guide them in their life. 40 participants indicated that they engage in ritual or religious observances. These are things like celebrating Shabbat and holidays or keeping kosher. Things that mostly happen in the home or in the synagogue. The fourth response, which is listed as intertwined, there were 26 responses that they really didn't have to work at integrating the Jewish and other parts of their lives because they were really inseparable for them. 25 respondents said that they educate others, which really meant for them sharing their own Jewish experiences with non-Jewish friends and family. And that's how they integrated the Jewish part into the rest of their lives. There were 20 respondents who said that Jewish friendships, which meant both that their closest friends were Jewish and or that they had lots of Jewish friends, that this was an expression of how they integrated their Jewish identity into their regular or complete identity. There were 18 respondents who said that they don't. One quote which really illustrates what was meant by this was, "I'm Jewish and proud of it, but it is completely irrelevant in most areas of my life, so I try not to integrate my Jewish identity with the rest of who I am." Another said, "Weekends are used and weekdays are used for schoolwork." So at least some of the students in our school system are actively and consciously maintaining separate pieces of their identity, with parts of themselves being Jewish and feeling Jewish and parts of them not. Some 14 students said that they do a little bit try to integrate the Jewish into the rest of the parts of their identity. 2 people indicated that they only date Jews, and that's their expression of Jewish identity as an integrated into the whole. And 11 people cited other things. And what they mentioned were things like wearing a kippah, wearing jewelry that they considered Jewish with a Star of David or other symbols, wearing T-shirts that had Jewish or Hebrew phrases or pictures on them. And those are really the pieces of data that we wanted to share with you today. You can read in more detail on the quick bites. I want to just give one other word of why we did put this out. At JESNA, we believe in sharing the information that we have. And as we collect information, we try to disseminate it as broadly and as promptly as we can. And we do this through several different publication strategies. Quick Bites is the briefest and the most timely of these strategies. And so we pulled this information together in June, and we're delighted to be able to share it with all of you and with your colleagues shortly after, a few months after.